gonna be an interesting couple of days. I look forward to it. So you're not supposed to camp here unless you have an emergency.
Oh, my temperature just dropped 10 degrees. The view from Pelion Hut is probably the best. We woke up to a winter wonderland. Still smiling. It's all flooded again. Ugh. We are in completely opposite weather to what the Overland experience was.
We're on a cattle station right now, but there's going to be more on that later on. Don't want to go jumping too far ahead now.
Is that our opening line? We decided to do the... I don't know what to do with my hands. What do I normally do with my hands? We decided to take on the Overland in the winter.
We were looking for a bit more of a challenge.
And we wanted to take advantage of not having to pay any fees.
And we had a great time. The Overland Guidebook says it best. The Overland Track is more than a walk. It's an extraordinary journey through the heart of the Tasmanian Wilderness World Heritage Area. For most people, the walk takes 6 days, covering a total distance of either 65 kilometers from Rodney Creek to the Narcissus Ferry, or 78 kilometers through to Cynthia Bay at the Lake Sinclair Visitor Center. I like the challenge that we were faced with when it came to doing it into the winter. There were so many obstacles that we had to overcome. You know, we get our four-wheel drive stuck on the way up to the Lake Sinclair.
The thing that was toughest for us to sort out was transportation from the end of the trail to the start. Because from Lake St. Clair up to Cradle Mountain is a 3-hour drive.
Outside of peak tourism season, which resulted in us either paying out the ass for a bus or turning to a friend, and luckily we knew someone that could drive us.
Still driving. The roads are a little bit hairier than we were expecting. I don't even know what exactly we were expecting, but I definitely wasn't expecting this much snow on the road. I don't think you can go into the Overland Track with expectations of what you're going to see and what you're going to experience, because every overland journey is unique.
There was days where we had blue skies, well, just the one day where we had blue skies, and then we would have rain the next day and the trail would completely flood out. Then we would get a dumping of snow. You wouldn't even be able to see the trail because your foot's slipping off the boardwalk.
Well, after all of yesterday's rain, we woke up to a winter wonderland.
So yeah, the gear itself was pretty straightforward. We already had a lot of it to begin with. We had to run into town, grab a couple of things here and there. We got a really cool rain jacket for Agnes's new pack, which came in handy as we went further down the trail. The drive up to the beginning of the trailhead was interesting to say the least. We slipped off the road, and if Alex wasn't there to pull us out, don't know what we would have done. But yeah, what a way to kick off the beginning of our hike.
Well, I just wanted to say that the overland experience was everything that we hoped it would be, because doing it in winter, we got the snow that we really wanted to experience on the trail. Here she is, the start.
The Overland Track.
Woo, we made it.
Do it. Yeah, we made it.
a lovely nurse and fireman gave us a ride down here in their four-wheel drive because they're not letting any two-wheel drives or the buses down here for the next couple of hours. So far the trek has been great. We have to remember to take off layers so we don't get too hot on this trek. Yes, we're in the snow, but when we're carrying our packs, we do overheat quite quickly with all the climbing that we have to do. So we've been managing our body heat by making sure that we remove and put on layers as we go.
Pelion hut was by far the best hut on the trail. It's a really big hut here. It sleeps a lot of people. Can't remember the exact number.
And I like Echo Hut. It looked like a hut from a slasher movie, but...
No. I think it looked like a hut from a slasher movie. You enjoyed its rustic charm.
And that's what I was going to say. I enjoyed the rustic charm of that hut.
On the first day, I hadn't really packed my pack very good in terms of balance. Long story short, my pack was unbalanced and I fell over, but in a way that then didn't help me get up. So I did what I now call turtling.
And there she is. Hopefully she doesn't end up like a turtle too many times on this track.
Don't turtle.
Don't turtle.
So I was laying on the ground like this, help, help, help. And Brad had to help lift me up because the left side of my pack was just so heavy that I couldn't oomph myself up.
We didn't have gas at some of the huts.
So we made it through the night. Last night was cold, but we knew it would be. The heater wasn't working. But now I have to do something that I really don't want to do. I have to put my feet into these wet, cold socks, into these wet, cold boots.
Just have to bite the leather strap and throw the socks on and jump into your boots. It's the only way.
Oh, it's like the mats that when you get out of the pool and now like soaked and stuff and you're walking around squishing, and then I don't even have them in my boots yet. Oh, I think my temperature just dropped 10 degrees.
We'll be moving in a second, and once we get going, we know that we'll be nice and warm and hot. It's just a bitch to get going in the morning.
Warm feet, suicides, warm feet.
So we didn't get to dry our wet clothes. The track at times was completely washed out, so we're in ankle deep, sometimes shin deep water. A lot of the side trails were closed, but we could see them off in the distance. Mount USA, which is the biggest mountain in Tasmania, was something to see during our trek through Pelion Gap. Mount Oakley was great from Pelion Hut. And trying to get that coal started at Echo Point was another big challenge. So there's a whole bunch of little things that just made the trip really exciting.
I'd say one of the most complicated parts of the trail though was day 3. Isn't that beautiful?
We gotta cross this river.
I'd say that's a cascade. Day 3 is the thing that always sticks out to me. It was one of the longest days hiking, but that was the day, that was the day after it had rained all night. So all of that snow that we saw in the first 2 days just turned into water. So the entire trail got taken over by all of these unplanned waterfalls. In particular, there was this one spot where we had to take our turn, and Brad actually had to help catch me as I was jumping across the water.
We're in the middle of the Frog Flats. We have probably another 3 to 5 kilometers left to go until we get to Pelion Hut. Doesn't look half as good on the GoPro as it does in real life.
I wish I had the camera out, like the real big camera. I might come back. We'll see what time it is when we get to the hut.
After trudging through ice, snow, water, flooded rivers, mud, yeah, we're just gonna call it a day. Get into the hut, dry up a little bit, check out the old hut, and carry on tomorrow.
I'm ready for the new hut to drop off my pack, have some food, and then I think I'll get my 6th wind of the day.
I have to say that I absolutely hated wet socks. It's one of my biggest pet peeves. Normally you carry a couple of extra socks and you can get beyond it, but you can only carry so much on a 6-day voyage, and every little bit of your backpack, every bit of space counts. So
But there was also no point in putting on dry socks into wet boots. So we really saved and savored our dry socks for when we got into the huts. It was like a reward, like, yes, I take off all of this wet crap and put on these nice, cozy, dry socks. What did I see? Well, wombats. We saw lots of wombats, and that was the thing that I was most excited to see. Seeing wombats wandering around in the snow is so cute. But they are really skittish, and they're super funny when they try and hide in button grass because their butts just blend in with it. So unless you knew that they were there, you wouldn't see them. But we also saw some wallabies that looked really cold when it was snowing, and then lots of different birds. Oh! And then the day before we started, we actually saw a platypus in Ronnie Creek.
now in Tasmania, I worked on a couple of different hiking trails, upgrading the trails as it were. And a lot of people told me that they thought it was ridiculous, the amount of work the Australian government is putting into these hiking trails that's taken away from their natural beauty. I have to disagree. I have to say, yes, it does take away from a portion of the natural beauty, but it also really preserves nature from being further destroyed. You can definitely see this on the Overland Track. People have been hiking this trail for years, and the erosion scar on the trail is quite evident. And all these new small boardwalks, though they take away from that raw, wild feel, they are doing a world of wonders in terms of preserving and preventing the erosion from going any further. Especially with the water, when it was coming down the trail, it created channels in the earth for further erosion to take place. It was pretty bad, so it's essential that if we're going to continue to enjoy the outdoors, that we have an infrastructure to support the heavy foot traffic.
It's raining on our last leg of the journey. On
Yeah.
again, off again.
Only a couple more hours left to go. We're gonna make it.
I think we will.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be so happy to see the car and the car heater and a hot shower and a cold beer and a hot chocolate and maybe a burger. My body's feeling it. I can't deny that. My legs, my toes, my heels, not loving me right now.
We've done a number on our bodies, that's for sure. But it's all been worth it to say that we did it. Why? Because we can.
Exactly.
My biggest tip to you when doing the Overland Track, though, is to make sure that you have dry sacks. Dry sacks for your dry clothes, dry sacks for your wet clothes, and a dry sack for your sleeping stuff, just in case. And then the shower. There is no better way to finish the Overland Track than to take a beautifully warm shower after all of those days out in the bush. And celebrate with a hot chocolate.
We did it.
We did it. We did it!
And even better, it was snowing again when we finished, so we came full circle with our experience of snow, rain, sun, snow.
So yeah, I definitely do the Overland Track again. I would love to see it during different times of the year, different seasons. There's heaps of different side trails to do as well that need to be explored, and also bring other people along. You know, like this is an experience that both Agnes and I enjoyed, and we would love to share that with other people in the future. So
All in all, with everything that we experienced, in the moment there was times where we got really frustrated and angry with the weather and stuff, but we never stopped being positive. And at the end of it, you were left with a really strong feeling of accomplishment. We hiked a lot of kilometers. I think with the side trails that we did, it was 83 kilometers at the end of it. I think in terms of obstacles, it was overcoming the mentality of always being wet. Wet and cold, wet and cold, wet and cold.
all in all, we had a great time on this hike. There were plenty of challenges that we overcame. We couldn't have done it without the support of Alex Towns, our friend in Tasmania, that drove all the way to the beginning of Cradle Mountain with us in his patrol. And
we never would have made it there without him.
yeah, and just the feeling of accomplishment at the very end. We earned our badge, and every time we do something exciting, we normally stitch something to a blanket, a patch of some sort to our blanket, and we definitely feel that we've earned this one. Both a challenge mentally and physically, and we're so glad that we had the chance to do it. Do it.
Do it.